gentlemen, and welcome to the final round of the Tournament of Terrible. Danny, I think needless to say, everyone...
Thank God it's finally over.
Yes, everyone has had tons of fun with this Tournament of Terrible. We thank all those people that have voted throughout the rounds and have chosen which terrible things have moved on to the next round. But Danny, I think
this is going to have to be a yearly thing here because we've already got 32 ideas for next year, or 31, and then the defending champion, which we're going to talk about here.
So before we get to who won the championship, we are going to go through some of the other rounds and maybe talk about a little bit of the noticeable, ejections from the tournament, things that might have, jumped out at us. And I'm looking at the Elite Eight here. And Danny, we lost a big one in the Elite Eight. That the impartial Brian Bass fell.
Oh, come on. That should have been a shoe-in to win the whole thing.
Seriously, right? The impartial Brian Bass. I'm surprised he made it that far, but he fell to thinking everything.
I'm going to text Brian and tell him that we're making fun of him right now.
You should definitely do that. Danny, one close to your heart also fell in the Elite Eight, and that was Pompous Fastlane users. Fell to our other championship round contender, line jumpers.
Oh, okay. Well, those are kind of the same thing, right?
Well, maybe. Well, yeah, pretty much, right? Yeah.
Yes,
line jumpers are Pompous Fastlane users. There you go.
Or Pompous. Not all line jumpers are Pompous Fastlane users, but all Pompous Fastlane users are line jumpers?
Definitely line jumpers. So let's look at the final four here. So we definitely had line jumpers going up against Counting Larson Loops as coasters.
It's pretty terrible.
This was a pretty terrible one. Looking at the percentage here, line jumpers ran away with this one to 79% to 21%.
Wow.
Counting Larson Loops as coasters. So not a very close matchup there for this one. In the other half of the final four, we had Borrowing Kids to Ride Roller Coasters going up against Thinking Every Rumor is a Mac or RMC.
Well, that's a good one for this year in particular because everyone thought that this year.
Absolutely right. So this was a little bit closer in this round here. So looking at the final percentages, it was Thinking Every Rumor is a Mac or RMC only getting 38.5% versus Borrowing Kids to Ride Roller Coasters getting 61.5%. So a little bit closer matchup there in the final four for that round. So that takes us to our championship, Danny. Now, no one knows the results of this one. You all know that you voted in the championship. So it was line jumpers taking on Borrowing Kids to Ride Roller Coasters. Two things that you do with the legal line jumpers.
Excuse you. I do not borrow kids to ride roller coasters.
Oh, you do. You do.
I've done it like once ever, and I didn't really borrow. I kind of jumped on the ride, and then when the operator said I needed a kid, someone was like, "Oh, you can ride with my kid. I don't want to ride anyways."
Close enough. So this one was a very contested battle. A lot of people thought line jumpers would run away with this tournament, and that looked like it was going to happen going into the final round of the Tournament of Terrible, going into this championship matchup. But line jumpers just barely squeaked by.
Ooh.
55% of the vote to Borrowing Kids to Ride Roller Coasters, only receiving 45% of the vote.
That's really weird because I feel like certain coaster enthusiasts do borrow kids to get roller coaster credits, or are they voting for that because they're jealous of the people who do that to get the kiddie coaster credits? I don't know how we're voting here.
I have no idea what happened here. But yes, line jumpers. If you had to pick a favorite in that first round, I think line jumpers. I looked at the Vegas boards, before this actually happened, and that after that selection,
that was the morning line favorite.
And Vegas had line jumpers as the favorite there. So line jumpers does indeed will move on to next year's Tournament of Terrible. So we will have to see. We'll have to come up with 31 good ones, and we'll see how far line jumpers.
I think we've got most of them already.
Yeah, most of them already. People are coming up with ideas in the comments. We wrote them down, so you'll see some of those next year. But as always, thank you for participating. I think we all had some great fun with this. and we wanted to do a final video here to sum up all the great stuff or bad stuff that you guys voted
Yeah, the
upon.
great bad stuff that we've been discussing.
Yeah. So we are indeed in the middle of the Thrilling 32. So fill out those brackets and get those submitted in for a poll that kind of matters a little bit more than this. So, as always, I am Andy Rybarczyk from Chicago, Illinois.
And the not so terrible Danny Miller from Binghamton, New York.
As always, right on, Ride Warriors. Brian Bass sucks.
The impartial one. See you guys.